Hello and welcome to Books and Writers Podcast. My name is Jorge Olson, and yes, I am a writer. This is the very first episode of the Books and Writers Podcast. Well, yes, we've had a couple of other podcasts, non-official podcasts where we're talking about Twitter and different things for authors, but this is now the commitment. It is the first podcast of the Books and Writers channel. We will be in iTunes, we will be in YouTube, we will be everywhere with our podcast. So you can listen from the website, promocave.com. You can listen from iTunes, you can listen on your computer, YouTube, on your phone, whatever you want. We're committed. I'm excited. First episode of Books and Writers podcast. How cool is that? I love books and I love writers. And this podcast is for writers, for authors, for people who want to write books, but also for people who love books and love writers. Maybe you write, you're an author, maybe you have 20 novels, or maybe you're just starting out. We're going to talk to other people who have a lot of books, or people who are starting out, or agents, or publishers, and a lot of other writers, to see what they think, how they live, how they write. Some of them make a living from their book, and a lot of them make a lot of money from their books. Let's speak with them and see what they do. A lot of people write for fun. We'll speak with everybody, every type of writer, every person involved in writing and the business of writing, editors, publishers, agents, printers, distributors, everybody. But we'll focus most in books and in writers, because we want to get inspired. We want to learn from writers. We want to feel the writing, and we want to communicate with them and feel what they're feeling, get inspired from them, or at least get through the next chapter with their help, or get through today and maybe write 1,000 words today, or 2,000 words, or whatever your goal is for today. You know, books and writing, reading and writing are two of my favorite things. So how cool that we have a podcast, Books and Writers, where we talk about writing and we talk about reading. And those two things are very important to me. I have them in my to-do list for every day. I have 5 things that I love to do every day, and 2 of those are writing and reading. So I write every single day and I read a lot every single day. I try to go through about a book a week. Of course, it depends on the book. There's some books that I just can't. They're too long. But for the most part, I try to go through a book a week. In the good old days, I used to do 2 books per week. Now I settle for 1 book per week. And we're going to be talking about reading habits, not just writing habits, but reading habits, such as what do you read when you're writing? What music do you listen to when you're writing? Does the reading affect your writing? Or do you read specifically for the type of writing that you're doing? We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about how many books do you read on writing. I know I read a lot of books on how to write, a lot of audios on how to write, a lot of articles, a lot of podcasts, a lot of whatever I can find, speaking with authors, whatever I can find about writing, I go through. So we're going to talk about lessons learned, and we're going to talk about what do you read? What do you like to do when you're writing? Now, we already have quite a following. So if you want to do an interview with us, you're very welcome if you're an author, because we have just writers alone. We have more than 150,000 subscribers. Last time I checked, we were approaching 170-something thousand subscribers, but that's just the writers. And remember, writers are avid readers. So when you say, well, I don't want to market to writers, well, you're wrong. Because if I read a book a week, imagine the people who really read. And I buy books, so they might buy books as well. But that's not all. We also, of course, have a lot of readers, not just through the podcast, but also through promocave.com and the other places, especially social media. And we have about 1.5 to 3 million social interactions per day. Yes, you heard it right. Up to 3 million social interactions per day on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Pinterest, Tumblr, and the other places. So if you get interviewed, or let's say that your book is on promocave.com, which is free, your book goes to all of these people. And if you get interviewed, then you get a lot of listeners there. You get a awesome plug for your book, and it's a lot of fun. You get to get your message out to a lot of people and inspire a lot of people. So if you're interested in participating and being interviewed in the podcast, just send an email. Go to the website promocave.com and send us a message through there, or just send us an email, podcast@promocave.com, and tell us about you, tell us about your book, and we'll schedule an interview. And you can do fiction, nonfiction, whatever it is. We're all about interesting. You need to be interesting. That's what we're looking for, because the readers need to be entertained. It's all about the readers. It's all about the listeners, right? So you have to be entertaining. We'll have fun. But wait, I know I'm very rude. I didn't introduce myself properly. Again, my name is Jorge Olson, or my long name, my given name is Jorge Salvador Olson Sandoval, because I was born in Tijuana, in Mexico, or Mexico, the way I say it, across the border from San Diego, California, the safest city in the world, Tijuana. I was born and raised in Tijuana. Now I live and I write and I broadcast this podcast from sunny San Diego, California. It's a great place to live, a great place to write. And I have several books. I write business books and I write fiction, especially science fiction. I have books about beverages, Build Your Beverage Empire. I have self-help books. I am releasing 2 books this year, business books, and I am finishing 2 other, 2 other business books, and my science fiction novel, which I'm about 300 pages in, is not ready. Can you believe it? It's not ready. What I realized is writing nonfiction, especially things that I know a lot of, such as marketing, branding, etc., easy, super easy. Writing science fiction, even though I love science fiction, I've been studying it, and I'm a geek, not so easy. Easy, not so easy. But that's me. I'll do the interviews, I'll be your host, and I'm so happy that you spend your time with me. This is the first of many weekly, sometimes twice a week, but for the most part, weekly podcasts. This was the introduction. You know what to expect. Look for it. Here it comes. Thank you very much. This has been Jorge Olson from Books and Writers Podcast at promocave.com. I know your time is very valuable, and I feel special that you decided to spend it with me. Thank you. Bye.